Good morning, all Territorial, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses that are dialing in today, and also other brothers and sisters from around our great nation and wherever you are today globally, joining into this another chapter of our In the Black Northern Territory Indigenous Business Resilience Program, Yarning Circle. Today we have part two of a great yarn from Sister Yasmine Gill from PwCs Indigenous Consulting, who's going to share her perspectives around business sustainability, but the decision-making processes around that. What we're going to be doing following that is just getting Yasmine's thoughts in regards to in the territory around what's happening within the sector, but also just get her to share some of her wisdom as a professional within PwCs Indigenous Consulting, but also as a community member and a family member on community. What are some of her thoughts and observations in regards to how our territory is going in regards to Indigenous business in general, but more importantly, just from a community perspective, how everyone's doing around COVID and how are they pivoting, keyword that's been happening a lot in regards to what's been happening and what's the recovery process. We've been focusing so much, as we all know, family. We've been going through this process, obviously 12 weeks. We're in that piece around sustainability and viability in regards to processes. So this discussion today that Yasmine will share is really quite timely and greatly appreciated. Sister Yasmine, once again, thanks a lot for joining our yarning circle today. And how are you doing? How's everything going?
Thanks, Murray. Yeah, going well up in the territory. It's getting hotter, unfortunately.
It sure is. From our last conversation that we had in regards to business and business related matters, which is a key focus for what you're sharing in regards to today's yarning circle. Today's discussion around decision making, I'll hand it over to you, and I'll let you fire away.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome,
all right.
Thank you.
So, following from, I guess, the last session I hosted where we discussed business sustainability by addressing sort of the importance of strategic planning for your business and the cash flow management side. This session today will focus more around decision making. As we all know, there's a lot of decisions that a business needs to make throughout their entire life cycle. And so, yeah, it's a really important part of business sustainability, which, as we've already sort of discussed previously, is a major area to focus on for a business's success, particularly a small business, I guess, and the financial pressures that they face all throughout their life cycle. So, today we'll just have a chat around how to make good and smart decisions for your business and what that sort of process looks like. So I think I'll just get straight into it because we've already sort of discussed a little bit of the Indigenous business sector across Australia and that sort of snapshot. So decision making. So making good business decisions is really essential to the success and, I guess, business growth of your business. For small businesses, it's often a tricky thing because the decision starts and ends with the business owner. So this poses in itself positives and negatives. I mean, you don't have to compromise, I guess, in making your business decisions, but then you don't get that that second person's or third person's perspective or point of view. So, yeah, positives and negatives in running a small business if you're a sole business trader. Some common business decisions that you will probably face throughout your life cycle is financing. So how to finance the business, how to get that equity or cash in to, I guess, grow the business or to do different things. decisions around investing, how you will buy new assets or expand your business into different offerings of products or services. Costing, how you'll cost your products or services. General day-to-day business operations, so hiring and firing, I guess, is a big one. How to market yourself in the business, in the industry, and then just general decisions around growth and how to make effective decisions on the future operations of your business and diversifying products and etc. I'll go through some sort of tips around some important things to keep focused around decision making, and then I'll go through sort of a 5-step process that although it doesn't have to be followed, directly, is a good sort of way to think about making decisions. So some important things to remember when making decisions is it's important to make the decision as a business owner and separating that emotional side of things to the business owner side of things. So this is sometimes hard because you've often, even if you're not the business owner, even if you're a staff member, you've often invested a lot into the business. Personal time, sometimes money, you've invested passion, but this does and can cloud your judgment when making important decisions for your business. And even if you're making personal decisions with a personal aspect, so that might be the hiring and firing or the discounting to a mate or stuff like that. There is a personal aspect, but you need to make sure that you're making the decision as the business owner and with the business's prosperities and growth in mind.
Yeah, it's a big issue, isn't it? So something now I know we shared in our last conversation around this particular tip, which is a really wonderful one. There's some of the interactions that we've had through the program, through the In the Black program, and conversations that we've been sort of working through in regards to some of the challenges during this COVID-19 and just in general and business in general, is this idea of having a business owner's mentality around how you progress and grow your business versus those other responsibilities that may potentially impact you personally.
Yeah, and I guess it's hard to get to that point, but I think just being mindful of the fact that you need to separate your emotions from your business decisions is a good start, even. So taking your time when making decisions. Don't rush to make a decision, even if you think you've got a timeline. Make sure you're making the decision in an informed way, because bad decisions made can be very costly for your business. Seeking advice is another important one, and that's not necessarily professional advice, although it might be. It can be from a peer in the industry, it can be from a mentor or a colleague. Someone may have gone through a similar experience and be able to provide you with, that advice around what your options might be or anything. So just talking about it with your peers. Again, understanding all the facts. So this is key, just making sure you do your research, you've got a clear picture of what your choices are, how they'll impact your business, and then you can make your informed decision from there. And the final sort of tip that I've got there is aligning your decisions to your, strategic business plan. So this is like why you're in business and what's important to your business and that's what you sort of develop through your vision and values. So it's important to align all business decisions to that vision, because that's, what you've set out to do. And you need to ensure that your business continues to go on the path that you've set out for it to go on. So I'll move now to the steps in decision making. So like I said, this might seem a bit process driven or not necessary for the size of your business or the size of the decision, but having some sort of clear process does make a difference in making a smart decision for your business. So it also just sort of sets out logically, it keeps your emotions in check, and you can go into the decision or the decision made with sort of confidence that you'll get the result that you want. So step one, I guess, would happen organically. It's identifying the issue or the problem, or what needs to be addressed. I guess you can also identify here what your ideal solution would be, what you want to achieve out of that decision, and that might keep you on track throughout the rest of the decision-making process. So the next step would be to gather all the information. So this is doing your research, again, making sure you've got that research to make informed decisions, and this is gathering information internal and external to your business. So if you decide to branch out and offer a new product or a new service, you'll want to know if there's a market for it, who your competitors are, do you need special licensing? It's sort of that external background gathering of research that you will want to know in making a decision that's best for your business. The next step is defining all the options, so not limiting yourself to one way of thinking. You might think you know the answer, but just thinking about different options is key here. There's always more than one option available, even if you think you're sort of stuck. It's important to sort of not be locked into existing thinking and think outside of the box. And just outlining all of your choices, even if you don't think you'll go with one of them, and what each choice would mean for the business. Really just thinking broadly and not going for whatever is right in front of you or whatever might be the easiest option. Because again, at the end of the day, this will help in that smart decision making and getting the outcome that you want. So I guess the next step, which is, quite important one, is listing the pros and cons and weighing the pros and cons and then comparing all of the results. So this again is, financial and non-financial information. You use the information that you've gathered in your, research and talks with other people. You even think in terms of best case and worst case scenarios of each decision. Another important aspect here is, doing a risk assessment for each option to figure out what you could lose in a worst case scenario, what you could gain, or what the major, areas of risk are for each option. Because as we know, I guess generally higher risk is higher return. So you try and identify all of those risks and then compare the costs and the benefits of it. Costs in terms of, risks, and in terms and compare the two to make that informed decision. Yeah, so making the decision is here at this step. So once you've got all of your pros and cons, once you've got all your background information, you'll then evaluate each option and take it back to, you know, what your strategic vision is for your business, and taking it back to what you wanted to solve or what your best case scenario was. And yeah, just really weighing everything up here to make that final decision. The final step here I have is tracking the decision. So, you know, the decision's now made, but you need to make sure that you implement it properly, because otherwise all of this hard work is, you know, sort of gone to waste. And also that you track that decision and make sure it is, you know, on track as to what you wanted it to achieve. So I guess after deciding what you want to do, it is a good option to make a clear plan for implementation. So that'll just ensure that you get the benefit that you expected from that option. And it will also sort of allow you to mitigate the risk that you've anticipated or identified. So through your risk assessment, if there were risks identified, it's important to do things to mitigate those risks, and that's what you identify here. So whether that's, you know, insurance or talking to a lawyer or setting more money aside if it's a higher risk decision, whatever it is, it's important to, you know, identify that and include that in your implementation plan.
Yeah, I mean, just picking up on a couple of points there, if you don't mind me sharing, just as an observation, Sister Yasmine, is it really ties in really quite nicely to the important tips that you shared as well, each of those areas. And I think in regards to, from what I'm also hearing there, you know, around a structured piece, I mean, we were always making decisions, whether we're in family or business, sort of on the cuff every day. And it's really great that you've outlined this piece. Around the first stage, around identify, is it important in regards to that stage? And number two, that ties into all of it, is it important to really try as best as possible to define that particular issue or challenge as much as clearly as possible, just to stop you sort of spraying and going outside, just to save a bit of time and also make the process a bit efficient? Is that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it is, yeah, you do want to clearly identify what it is that needs to be addressed, what is the issue or the problem, and that will keep you on track and, you know, stop you from veering off, which is often, particularly like a business owner, his brain's always turning. Yeah, it's really important to sort of keep to that issue, and if you identify that issue, then you can always come back to that and come back.
Great.
What
Yeah,
are we
that's awesome.
Information for? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other piece in regards to, and I think it probably ties into number two and number three in regards to that, not just the gathering of information, but back to your important tip, and I think it's important to share with brothers and sisters on our yarning circle today, is also about that seeking advice and assistance. Sometimes we are too close to the action. We are too close to that campfire burning ourselves, that we don't have those thoughts and processes. And I see around steps and twos, this on reflection, is just listening to yourself, which is really, really wonderful, is to really bring down that pride element that sometimes we feel as business owners, and really strip it away, that sometimes it's good to ask for advice, because without doing that, and mainly around COVID, right, we found in regards to a number of, and we've seen it on the news anyway, this thing called self-isolation and being isolated. I know we're not experiencing it so much in the territory, but it's still there. You know, as a risk assessment process, is that sometimes you are cut off. You don't have the communication. You're not connected to the network. And what we've been sharing within the programs, just if I can share, is that to ensure that you can use platforms like In the Black, like at the program, obviously the Facebook group that we've created for the program participants, to ensure that you can talk to each other. It is okay, because sometimes you need that, and it's not a sign of weakness. Sometimes you have to break through that to be able to make an informed decision. Is that a fair comment? And is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I guess in this, in making decisions, you might be saying, oh, I need to make a decision on this because my business isn't doing very well in this area. But I mean, no one's business really is. And I just think if you can come together as a community, you'll only ever grow from that.
Love it. Yeah, that's 2 deadlifts, sis.
Yeah, so just that final step of keeping track of your decision, I think, is important and often forgotten. Making sure it's doing what you set out for it to achieve. If it's not, then going back to, step 1, step 2, or wherever.
Yeah, true. Yeah, not tracking your things. Yeah, too busy thinking. Then the learnings that you can come out about tracking it. Look, thanks for that advice, sis. I'll take that on board too. So yeah, I'll take that on board. I'll take that for my little notes here.
Just general life advice.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, so that really caps off the steps in a decision-making process. Should I move on, or do you have any other questions?
No, it's just fire away. Yeah, you keep moving on. You keep moving through your slides. All good.
Okay, cool. I just thought I'd focus here around specific, decision making for financial growth.
Yeah, great.
So, the types of decisions you'll be making in financial growth is often around investment and financing. So by that, I mean, investment is, how we use your business's funds to invest in different assets. That's long-term and short-term, to grow your business. That's often, hard decisions to be made around that. And then linking into that is how do you, raise finances and cash for your business? What's the best balance of debt and equity, I guess, or like where do you get the cash from? So, obviously getting cash to make those investment decisions or just to, continue with your day-to-day business. So, yeah, there are 2 key areas of decisions you might need to make to grow your business. So if we just can focus on investment decisions for a moment, and this all ties back to, this is the type of the decision that you'll need to make to use that 5-step decision-making process.
Right, okay.
So, investing, how to expand your business, how to diversify your business or acquire additional assets to grow your business. It's those sort of decisions that you'll be wanting to make here. It's like it says on the slides, it includes long-term investments and short-term. So long-term is those fixed assets, it's the plant and machinery, the land and the building, large investments that would generate, your profit over a period of time. And, how to invest your money properly to help you grow or to help you achieve what you want to achieve. The shorter term investments are more what sort of balance you want to hold in your short-term current assets. So that's cash, and that's how much raw materials you have on hand, and yeah, that's a bit more of the nitty-gritty of day-to-day business, as opposed to, all right, how am I gonna, what am I gonna do next to
Mm.
my business?
And in some of the categories and businesses that we've spoken about before, Sister Yasmin, but that's raw. When Sister Yasmin is talking about raw products, everyone, what's also there is in regards to your raw materials, your paints, your paint brushes, your canvases, your materials, because everything that you're keeping is money. It's an asset in regards to an investment that you've actually made. But what is that? How do you actually achieve that to literally garnish those longer term investments, as well as also a key consideration of what Sister Yasmin is sharing?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I guess when making these sort of decisions, I guess you identify what it is you want to achieve. So, do I want to diversify my products? Am I, holding too much cash, which is always a good problem to have, but how do I then want to invest that? So I guess you go back to that 5-step decision-making process once you figure out what it is that you want to sort of work on or resolve. Like when making these sort of decisions, you sort of try and identify what the profitable investment opportunity might be, and then you evaluate, the expected cash flow from a certain decision or long-term investment, the size of how big you want to go in this investment, when you want to, the timing of it, like when do you want to achieve the purchasing of a new asset, when do you want to achieve the profits from that purchase, the risk involved, the overall future cash inflows and outflows. I mean, it's all of those things that you'll need to consider before going ahead with the decision making process. So that just sort of puts it in a practical sense of some decisions that you might need to make in terms of investment. Financing is also another kettle of fish and quite difficult to get your head around. But these sort of decisions are, what is the optimal financing mix, I guess they sometimes refer to it as. So how much debt do you want to be in? What the risks of that is? Can you sort of borrow money privately, which would be the equity side, and what risks are involved with both of those options for financing, what you want to raise the financing for, and the ability to repay it. It's those sort of things that you need to consider before sort of proceeding with the source of financing that you want to. So weighing up what the best balance is. Obviously, debt involves a fixed cost, so your interest, but there's risks involved with that. The interest is deductible. Like there's pros and cons for all of these things, and they're the sort of the processes that you need to make before deciding how you'll proceed, and then also deciding what you need that financing for, like what sort of investments you are going to be making with that. So the growth, the business growth is sort of a number of decisions you need to make, but just stepping it out in the process that we've just gone through, it just sort of takes out the sort of, it's not as hard as it might, or daunting as it might seem, and it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's interesting, Sislane, both of those areas that you shared in regards to investment decisions and financing decisions. Just some reflection just from the previous slide that you shared, also about some of the things that we're experiencing within COVID-19, and a lot of businesses are experiencing this at the moment, is not just about, there's these investment decisions about, one is, how much money do I actually have at the moment, right? Yeah. To ensure business continuity and viability. And then the other piece that we've been seeing as well, and what we've been hearing from brothers and sisters and businesses out there, is also about the intangible decision making, right? The qualitative decision making that is also key around, that affects your cost and risk from a family perspective, but more importantly, from those decisions from where you are and what it's impacting on your bank balance as a business owner, but also as a family member, seems to be also sort of out there. And then the other piece around the financing decisions, this is a reflection piece. There's so many products, right? So many financing products. There's there's various organizations that both of us know and everyone knows that provide small business grant funding. We've got the bank products that are out there. We've got Indigenous Business Australia and various other mechanisms, including the program that we spoke about prior to our call here around the COVID-19, the support mechanism that obviously PricewaterhouseCoopers is working with IBA and NIAAA. Around a financing decision around, let's just use that as a case example around the COVID-19 support package. The program, I know it's great, like the support mechanism around financing decisions on whether you enter or apply for a financial decision around your cost and risk. Are there any other considerations that you should be mindful? Let's use the COVID-19 support package as an example.
I think your ability to repay is the biggest consideration.
Right, okay.
So understanding so developing a business case or a business plan around what you need the money for and how you're going to invest it in your business for the best, and then your ability to repay is probably the biggest thing to focus on when making that financing decision. But yeah, there are a lot of sources of funding available, and that's where that research and piece comes in, and making sure you're well informed, because there is a lot of assistance available. It does take time, so you do have to invest time into the application process, into the research process, but particularly during this time, I guess a silver lining might be these funding opportunities that are available.
Yeah, they're positive elements to be used. It's back to what you were sharing about the decision-making process. I think this is also about, you have to make an informed decision because we don't know when the light at the end of the tunnel is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And whatever that looks like you're sharing, is the continuity of business opportunity to repay a loan, right? To repay a process is really, really key in regards to that. So what we've been hearing from other sectors in regards to some of the intel that's been shared is also about really just takes, in some instances, it's good to take those short-term steps just to get comfortable with it, and that you can prove that you can do it, and you're out there to start to build the runs on the board to recover, to ensure that you're sustainable as a business is also what I'm hearing there from yourself as well, Yasmine. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely. And I think these times during COVID are particularly hard because, as you said, we don't know what's next or how long it's going to be. So it's hard to plan for that. And I mean, that's where your risk assessment comes into play. But how do you know how long this is going to go for and how much money you have to set aside and
Mm-hmm.
what's next.
Yeah,
So
and the first thing what I share with brothers and sisters in business as a bit of a this has a bit of a bit of banter, a bit of a the small mock, how we are, is around going, look, if you've got these financial options that are out there, and you're within this particular paradigm that we're experiencing in regards to the pandemic, if you're going to go for something. If the car doesn't fit the need, if you're going to buy a car, make sure that it's used for the business. Like that's the big thing, right? It's like buy an asset, let's buy a 4B, right? Just to make sure that that asset is going to be used for the business,
yeah,
not so much for them camping trips trying to hunt away from the city.
decision making.
Thanks, sis. That's awesome. Is there another slide?
No, that was it. So
Yeah. Sis, from your perspective, I really love what you've shared today, and I think a lot of I love that your audience today and a lot of brothers and sisters that are sitting with us in regards to the Yarning Circle and who will be watching this. I think there's, as I shared earlier, as part of the introduction today, I'm just wondering from yourself, with everything that we've spoken around this idea of finance and the environment and the environment that we're working in and we're operating in as businesses at the moment. Where do you think the territory is at the moment from our Indigenous business sector, and what do you see on the horizon? Besides, I know there's some things that you're going to be focusing on, but from your perspective, from a business perspective in the territory, what do you see on the horizon for our sector in the territory?
I think to start off, at the moment and this year, it has been a struggle for everyone around Australia, given the situation. In the territory, it's no different, although we have, been lucky enough to be somewhat sheltered from COVID. Yeah. We've also had our borders closed, and that's affected a lot of business. In saying that, though, we are living quite freely, but the community's borders are still locked, and have been for good reasons. But I think there's a lot of good opportunity that has come out of this, though, and it's a good time for territory businesses to stop and sort of say, okay, where are we heading? Instead of going through your day-to-day business, which you often get wrapped up in, COVID and this environment has sort of put businesses to a halt because they've had to. And, it's a really good opportunity for these businesses to sort of stop and reflect on their business plans, where they want to go in the future. And like we discussed, there is a lot of support out there, COVID specific, but also, non-COVID specific. And it's a good opportunity and a good time to seek those opportunities and diversify your products. And, if the times now are changing, we need to change with it. So I see it as a really positive thing for territory businesses. We've already set ourselves sort of apart from the rest of Australia in that we're in this sort of COVID-free bubble, touch wood, and we can really market ourselves and show ourselves to the rest of Australia. And I think it's a really good time and opportunity for the business sector up here to continue to grow and make good decisions and show Australia, what we can achieve and our differences, because we are, diverse and different up here. And I think although the times have been tough at the moment, in my opinion, territory businesses have proven that they can get through it. And we have been helping quite a few businesses, supporting them through some initiatives through NTIBN and IBA. And from that, we can see, how resilient these businesses actually are, and seeking help is always an important step to growth as well. And these businesses are doing that. And I just think it's a really good opportunity for our territory businesses to now grow out of this.
Yeah, awesome. Look, my sister, I want to say thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Yasmine and obviously to PwCs Indigenous Consulting for being part of the Black Northern Territory Indigenous Business Resilience Program. Yasmine, God bless and thank you very much, my sister, for your time. I'm very, very humbled to have your knowledge and you share your spirit of someone who's really working there on a granular level and obviously from a strategic level throughout all sectors within the Northern Territory. Brothers and sisters that are on the call today, thank you very much for dialing in today. The advice and guidance that's been provided by Yasmine, there's some really key aspects around decision making, and everything that we've been sharing as part of this program. We're at the halfway mark now, we're at week 6, is all about appropriate decision making. The decision comes from you. Don't be afraid to seek advice in regards to whatever decision you need to make in business, but also those decisions that you make now, at the moment, everything is serious. But in regards to also what Sister Yasmine shared there, it is an opportunity to, one, go look here, where are we as a business? Where do I want to go as a business? But more importantly, and as Yasmine shared, and I think it's probably the biggest gem of today's discussion, besides everything else, is that we are in a wave of growth. Diversify a little bit, 110%, but have a look at your business. Have the yarns, but there is hope at the other end of the thing. But be focused on it, and to achieve it, you need to make some strong decisions. And finance is a big key for us. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for dialing into today's yarning circle. And I know 100% sure today's discussion you definitely got a heap of value of. If you are want to be a part of the Black Northern Territory Indigenous Business Resilience Program, it's not too late. We are halfway. Make sure that you comment with Dudley down below. The team will be in contact. But also the replays will be on YouTube. So if you haven't had a chance to see it today, we've got it across all platforms anyway. So look, I would like to acknowledge and finish as I started, pay respects and deep respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, our ancestors, our businesses, our elders, our communities, our young people who are creating them awesome footprints in the sand. But Sister Yasmine, I just want to pay deep respect in regards to yourself and your family, and definitely appreciate all your time today. Brothers and sisters, as always, make sure that you're maximizing opportunities to make a difference wherever the hell you are, and keep being strong. Create a great day, and thank you.